Hello and a very warm welcome to our Borton on the Water Art Lift demonstrations. I'm Karen Hilliard, and last week we went through a whole kind of format as to how I achieved this. So I'm not going to go on about this, but what I wanted to do was to use some of the things that we learned from doing this into trying something that, as you can see, it's the very same format, but using a different way of working. So with this, we used paintbrushes and acrylic paint. So we used it in a very loose way so that we watered it down and allowed it to kind of bleed and run in certain areas. And then we used it in a stronger paint format where it was much thicker, like I have here. So what I've done, last time we used the kind of little palettes that I gave you all in your artist pack. But this week what I've done is I've just taken a placemat and covered it in cling film. You can use a plastic bag, you can use a piece of mirror, you can use whatever it is that you have. But I needed something that's going to be flat, because what we're going to do is we're going to be just using credit card. So I have a piece that I've just cut so that I can get three different sized kind of heads or applicators. So I've got one there, one here, and then I've got an itty bitty little one there. So that's just the one cut up in different ways. So what I'm going to do is take you through the whole process, starting from the beginning, and then we're going to end up something along these lines. Now, when I've discussed these kind of demonstrations with you before, these are for your interest. Treat them like a springboard. So if you want to try and copy what I've done exactly, then absolutely do that. But if you want to try your own colours and your own way of playing with it, then please do that, because this is all about your time and having a play. Now, what I would also suggest is that you have the paper from your sketchbook. So always try out things on that first of all. See how the application of what you're intending to do works on a spare bit before you go straight into your good paper. So the paper that you are going to be using is the watercolor paper that I gave you, because it's strong enough to be able to play in this way. Okay, so less chat, more action. Let's have a look. I've done just a simple wash on the background here, just to show you how I've achieved some of these backgrounds. Now you're going to see different backgrounds on them all, because I've played with different things as I've been going along. And I'm going to show you two different ways of working with your background. So this one, what I'm intending to do is to use the credit card, and I'm going to work some colour across there. I'm going to just take a little bit of white, and just to draw your attention to the fact that I haven't gone straight in on bare white paper. I've given it that underpainting in an ochre, because if I have this skimming across the surface, I'm going to miss bits, because it's a little bit like using a dry paintbrush. So I'm just going to take some of the white and just going to kind of just bring it across like that. And what I'm intending to do is have fun. Oh, sorry. I've got this connected up on, oh well, you wouldn't want to see it because it looks a bit peculiar. So I just have to be careful not to hit the camera. So you can see this here. I've just got different colours here. So I'm just going to just play. Oh, look at that. Lovely and strong. And because I have that kind of colour underneath, I've got something kind of strong to play with. And I've got, I'm not going to have any bare bits, if you know what I mean. I'm going to bring some strong yellow into there as well. Oh, look at that. You see, this is the fun bit. This is the bit that that makes you kind of go, oh, I can't wait to do that. Oh, look at that. So, yeah. And you can take stuff off as well as put stuff on. And if you take it off, you can just kind of wipe it on the side, because you might come back and use that somewhere else. So I'm just going to put that nice yellow in there. So I'm quite happy with that. And I could bring that colour all the way down, But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play with a more of a bluey colour with some of that yellow in there. So I have some blue, can you see it? Just there, got some blue there. And I do have that white underneath, and I'm going to take more of that white because I don't want it to be too strong. So just taking that and working some of this blue into it. So I'm doing two things. I'm either kind of spreading, ooh, look at that, spreading it like that, and in some areas maybe adding in some stronger bits. So the bottom line is that with this is, the more brave you are, the more fun you'll have. Yeah. So I'm also thinking I'd like a little bit of a darker blue in there. So I'm just taking a little smidge, technical word that, you know, a little smidge, and I'm just going to cut in a little few lines on there and just going to drag that across. Just going to bring that all the way up to there. So that would be an area that on my first stage I would just let that dry. Now what I will do is come back to that just to kind of show you once it's dried. Now I can see I've got literally a little dimple there. So if you see something that you think, well, it just doesn't work, then don't be afraid to, that's what it is. I've got some sand or something in there. So although you kind of go, oh, I've ruined it. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. There you go. Who would have known? So we're going to pop that one aside. So that's one way of doing your background. And then I have another one here. I know, it's a bit of magic, isn't it? So this one, I literally have done what we did last week, which was to have it quite watery with this really light blue, which is that blue there. That blue there. Really, really light and watery. And then adding some stronger bit of the paint in on top. And then the same on the bottom, starting with a very loose yellow, lemon yellow. Very, very loose, and then adding more in, and that's only with brushes. So I just wanted to show you two different ways of playing with this. Now last week you started with I want the bits at the bottom. So these are the templates that we had last week. So I have those, which are all that one area, and then I have this, which is the lower area. So these are going to be the rocks. So I'll just move that up so you can see. So I've stuck this onto, I kind of ran out of things to stick it onto. So this is just a large kind of flat glass platter. So anything you have, just have a look, because you're not going to ruin it. You're just going to have a play with it. And actually, this is upside down. So popping that there, and this is the really, really fun bit. Well, it's all fun, really. So just gonna pop that there, make sure it's not on the thing, and actually I'm gonna bring it up a little bit further because I do want to have rock all the way along that bottom area. So I'm just going to make sure that this whole line goes all the way across, and then I've got my masking tape just there. Excellent. So white, where's my white? Just going to pop a bit more white on here, and so you will have your dirty cards, so just have a rag nearby, and if you go away from it and come back and it's just like really rough and the paint is all stuck on it, just use one side of a scissors and just scrape it off, or a knife, whatever you like. So with this I'm going for a black and a white. So I'm going to just run some black, and it's very important that you go this way, don't go up, because if you go up it'll go underneath that area. So I'm just doing a light spreading there so that I'm getting a kind of base. And I'm not going to be too worried if there's still bits of blue in there, you know, because you get all kinds of colours. So now I'm going to come to the white, and I'm just going to Just bring it different ways on there. And I will come back with the black again. And what I can do as well is I can cut through. So just have a bit of fun. But do start on that spare piece of paper first of all, before you kind of commit yourself to something that you're unsure of. So I've put that bit of white on there, and I'm going to come back with the black again. It's just so that I'm kind of building up areas. So some of it I'm dabbing, some of it I'm literally printing lines with. So it's just a case of having a play and seeing what works for you. So I'm just literally coming back with the black and the white until I'm happy with what I have on there. Okay, so I'm going to take that away immediately, and you can see some of the rock formation there. So starting with the mountain, I want, this is the mountain bottom. So these are exactly the same ones that we had last time. And the only thing I want is to make sure that I'm starting underneath that sunset. So I'll just pop that there. And I'm going to put my mountain top in, which is here. Whoops, sorry, touch the debris, what's it? Hope I don't make you seasick. And I'm just going to give it more of an angle rather than it being kind of so straight up like that. So what I'd like to do now, you'll see there's a little bit of purple on there. I really like the warmth of the purple. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of this purple and quite a bit of the white, and this is my very first bit. So I'm just kind of, I'm not too worried about mixing it like really well, but I want it mixed a bit, and I also am going to take a little bit of the black in there to make it more of a muted. We don't want a bright lavender, we want something that's, just put that there, we want something that's kind of greyed, more muted. Okay, so that'll do. So this is going to end up being quite a lot of the area on the top, and you'll see that some of it is a little bit thicker than others. So my aim here on the bottom area of this is just to get a coverage. It doesn't matter to me what it is, it's just to get a coverage on there. But the top area, I'm just wanting that to have that kind of, and it's okay for it to have those kind of colours coming through, yeah, because that's going to be nice. Now this is going to look a little bit peculiar, because you'd be like, but Karen, that's still wet. And you are right, it is still wet, but we're going to work really quickly, I promise. So I've got two more little things here, so I'm just going to lightly put that there, so that I'm not putting much pressure on. I'm going to take a bit more black. God, I tell you, big excitement today, isn't it? So just putting a little bit more of that darker in there so that I'm getting another tone there. I'm just going to go on top of it like that. And whoops, it doesn't matter at all that it looks messy, etc. But what I really do want is to get a little bit of that kind of feeling of the this mountain top range, if you know what I mean. Okay, so now I'm going to take this one, which is my last one. Did I do that? I'm not sure about that. I'm going to change this. Ooh, get me getting all racy. And I'm going to have just that bit there. And I'm going to give it a much darker base on there as well. So just taking the black in on top of that, moving it around on the colour that I already had. Sorry, you can't see that terribly well. Move that over. So that I've got quite a grey. And although I've been telling you just to be careful about letting it ooze underneath, don't worry too much about it this time, because there's a bit of excitement coming up. So it does look a bit like a bit chaotic, and it does look very amateur, but I promise you it's going to be fine. So don't worry about it. There's enough things to be worrying in life without worrying about this. Okay, quick bit of that off there, and quickly going to wallop these off. Now I'm expecting, that's fine, absolutely fine. So if I were you, I'd be going, oh, but Karen, you did a big splodge under there. And you might be right. And to be quite frank, the first one of these I did, I thought, oh, for goodness sake. But actually, watch this. This is really nice. I'm just going to clean that off. So those splodges that you get are expected. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking away some of that, as much or as little as you want. And what that is doing, and I can go like up into some areas so that it's a little less in some areas, so that it's more undulating, if you know what I mean. So that just softens that off, and I'm happy out with that. So what we've got is we've got these areas, kind of the mountains that are further away. Then we've got a mid-range in front, and then we've got our nearest area, which is the darkest. And then we've got this area here. And if you still are looking at this going, oh yeah, I'm just still not happy with that, even though you've taken that other stuff off, you can still add into it like that if you want to, and you can draw into it. So, you know, don't feel limited. That's the biggest thing. Never feel limited. And if you're ever worried, try it on the spare piece of paper. So that's that bit. So this is, I think, the only one that I've not done a kind of mirror of top and bottom. So this one has all the kind of bluey water and then the sunset behind it. More often than not, with sunsets, you would find that whatever's happening in the sky mirrors in the water. But I just wanted to have a play and see what we would come up with that. So I'm going to take that one away, and I will send you pictures of these on the email when I send you out the link for this. And now we're going to look at the trees. So if we just go back to our one that we were looking at, let's try and get this all the way on so you can see what I'm chattering on about. Okay, so now what we have here is we have our rocks at the bottom, we've got our mountain ranges in, we've got our background, and now I'm going to just put the main bits of the tree in, so literally the bark and the branches. Okay, so I have a brown and I have a white, and I'm going for the brown. There are two browns in the packs that I sent you, so these ones, this one is a little bit darker, so just a bit of it on there. Always good to keep that cloth handy for your old hands. And for this, so I'm going to use this one, and I probably would appreciate having that one of the smaller ones, this one here. I'll just take the black off there, so I'm just going to wipe that off. Okay, I think I will use that actually, because it'll give me more angles rather than straight lines. So I've just dipped it in like that, and what I'm intending to do is, it's important for me to get to the very bottom, so making sure that I get that so that it is properly behind there. So I'm just going to do lines, and you might kind of go, oh, it's a bit basic. So I'm having this area just that little bit wider going into something that's more narrow. And I'm going to have, how did I go? Yeah, just straight up like that. So just going to give some little bits of branches. And I could also take that little wee one, wherever it's gone, Oh, story of my life. I can't see something that's right underneath my nose. Well, I suppose I could just use the other side, couldn't I? There you go. If in doubt, have a think. See where you come. And also on the other side. So what I do generally, just, it's different when you're looking at a tree, but if I'm just doing it out of my head, if you think about a leaf, generally you have one there, one there, one there, one, alternative, alternate, something like that. So I'm just doing the same kind of thing with this one, because it's the same kind of format. So just taking that, adding in a little bit. And for the one that's on this side, it's practically the same, except I'm just wanting to have more or less a straight line. Going up like that. So I'm just going to allow that to just drag through a little bit. Okay, and again, to make sure that this is important, is to make sure that that is behind there, because otherwise it's floating. Okay, so that's a beginning. Oh, hang on, I do need to do a few of these here. So just some of these little lines again. Okay, I'll do another one down there. Now, this is the exciting bit. Tell you, this one's full of exciting bits. Okay, so taking some of the white. Oops. Oh, I did it again. So sorry. Let's just fix that. And let's pop that up there so you can see it all. See, that's the problem when you got a big head. It gets in the way. So I'm going to just take, I'm at a peculiar angle, so I'm just going to try and just use my other hand. So this is giving me the light on here, so that it's giving me a feeling of the light coming on, coming on there. What I can do is just take that a little bit smaller. I'm not at the most comfortable angle for myself in terms of doing this. Maybe I should sit down. Oh, here you go. Right, who's going to bring me a cup of tea? I'm ready for a cup of tea. A bit more of the white. So this is just giving us highlights on here. So I'm thinking about the lights coming like this. So although it's not a still life, when you've been doing your still lives, you've been able to kind of be aware of where the light is coming. So it's just about thinking about all these things in together, rather than them being separate things that make sense in one piece of work you do and not in another. So it's just to kind of bear that in mind. And don't worry if this bit's missing, absolutely fine. So I'm just going to do on this tree as well. It's getting a bit messy. Again, I'm at a funny angle. You'll have to excuse me just for doing it at an angle there. I have to say, this is my least successful tree. There you go. Okay, and little bits of the light on there just to give it a feeling of that. And just coming back to here and just, there you go, that's looking a bit better. So, never think just because you've done something and it's not great that you have to leave it. Okay, so that is tree, putting in the trees. And I'm just going to show you doing the, ta-da, as if by magic. Okay, so I just need to make sure I don't get that one all mucky and wet. So, oh yeah, what I can do is just lean it on there. Just check. So that's the one that I've just done. That's all wet. Okay, and then this is the one that I did earlier, and we're going to just look at putting colour on there. So This is the good stuff for the green and the leaves, and it's great because you're not worrying about what it's going to be like, because it's very straightforward. So let's just move. I want you to be able to see. Let's move that to there. And let's move this in. If I turn it the other way around, you'll be able to see those colours better. So I've got some of that, which is that yellow. I've got some green. And I'm also going to use that strong blue. And the blue is going to be the kind of shadowy bits. So if I take this one back, this is what we're kind of aiming for. So I'm going to use a different method on here as I do to here. But you'll see that there's bright yellow, and then there's the green. And if you look carefully, you will see little bits of blue in there, and they act as a shadow. Just means that if you use black for everything that's going to be shadowy, you just have no life left in your painting. So we're going to go for this one first. So I'm just going to use the yellow, and it's just a case of printing, literally printing with it. And what you'll find is that you need to probably print a lot more than you think you do. And don't worry about it going over the thing, over the branch, over the tree, because you will have that. Use smaller areas, as in this bit here, because it'll help you to get a curve on there. So it all looks a little bit random, but it's all about building up that area. Okay, so then the next thing I would do is dip into the green. And the other thing that I'm kind of trying to do is to get a little bit of curve like that. I'm not too worried if some are a little bit splodgy, because it's part of this kind of process. I don't think with this kind of thing that you can be too precise, because if you are, you lose the energy. Okay, so that's what I will do, and then taking the blue, dipping into the blue, and then just giving some low lights. So the yellow is your highlight, the green is your mid-tone, and your blue is kind of like your shadow. So just little bits of those blue in there, and it helps to kind of tone it down. Now you'll see the difference between two of those is just a lot more work. You just keep going at it and going at it. And the other thing that you can do is let it dry off a bit and then add more. But the other thing that you can do as well, if you want to, is just to draw through it like that. So, you know, it's up to you. So that's that bit, and we're going to go to the other tree now. And this bit is a lot of fun because we're actually, I'm just going to clean my fingers off because I'm getting a bit mucky, which is usually fine when it's clay. Okay, so this one, I'm actually going to mix, I've got the yellow and I've got the green. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to, more like a little tiny scrape. So it's like a nudge or a scrape on there. And I'm starting with quite light. I've got the green, two greens on there. Well, I've got the yellow and I've got the this mid green, but it's a sap green. But the thing is, as you can imagine, if you mix them both together, you get more of a limey green. So, you know, I'm aiming at having just a lot of different on there, and I want to go on top of the tree as well. So it's actually very freeing, this kind of method, because you're not trying too hard, and what you're getting is a very good kind of almost like an impressionistic view of the leaves on there. So that's all the quite light bits, and just taking in a bit more of that darker green. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix some of that darker green with the blue, so I get a darker green, and then I'm just going to go blue. And I'm going to take some of this green just on the underneath bits, because I'm going to have much more shadowiness on the underneathness. I don't think shadowiness is a word. I definitely wouldn't be allowed with that on my Scrabble games. So just adding in some of that blue just to give that a deeper green, more like a bottle green or a British racing green. And there we go. And then a little bit of blue in there as well, just to give it. Now you can mix black in there if you really feel that you need it, but personally I like the zestiness of it all. So that is it, except for playing with the boats. So the boats, just clean that off. Let's see what colour I have here. Let's just take this one, seeing as it's there. You know, I've take this one back. On this one, I've just had a play at somebody vaguely rowing a boat and a bit of another one at the back. So all I would do would be is just having a little mark like that. That's enough for me for a sailing boat. And I think I would probably use a different colour now, because otherwise it looks like, oh, she's been a bit lazy. Me? Never. So I'm just going to give it a... Yeah, just to give it a little thing like that. And now I'm looking at that and I'm going, oh, the boat's not quite long enough. So I'm just taking a bit more of this on here and doing that. And now I'm thinking, oh, my sail's not big enough. So just take that and just take that out a little bit wider. And that looks better for me in terms of balance. Things like birds, you know, that's a bit of white in there. There he is. I mean, you know, you can soften them off like that. And also what I would do is kind of just underneath give it a little bit more, and then bring in a little bit of black or blue or something. I'm just taking a little nudge there, just to give him a little bit of a beak. That's pretty crude, and there's a lot of black on there, so I've just cleaned that off, and I can just clean that back and just bring it back into a bit more of a... So maybe a little bit more on that wing, like that. So anyway, have a play, have some fun. And I was thinking again that this would be one that would be over 1 week, but it is definitely a 2-week one, because there are again all those elements. And even though you know it, it's just about having that time to be able to play. So I'm just going to look at this. You know, you've got very different things going on, but you know, the kind of structure is the same. And just looking back at other ones, you know, it's just really important that you have a play yourself and see how it comes for you, because we're all different and we all make different choices and colours and everything. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to wish you the very, very, very best for your week ahead or 2 weeks ahead, and have fun, and we'll speak to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.